Hey YouTube, my name's Steph, and today we're going to be doing another costume breakdown. This one is my ultimate favorite costume so far, in terms of accuracy and in terms of just overall feel, comfort. This is definitely my favorite by far. I have other ones that are coming along, one by Star Wars, and I still have to do my Captain America one, which is not quite as impressive, but there's still some neat tips and tricks that I want to teach you on that one, that I did some handmade stuff. But for today, we're going to be diving into Newt Scamander's. Now, I've always liked the Harry Potter series, but Fantastic Beasts kind of stuck out to me just because I like the setting and the characters a little bit more, and I got to dive into it since the beginning. So this is my interpretation of Newt Scamander. Now, I'm going to break down all of these parts in terms of where I got them. You know, some parts I made. Most of this costume I found, or somebody made the costume for me, or parts for me. So I'll put all those links in the description below. But let's just kind of break down this entire costume. I'm going to save these pieces for last, and I'm going to start over here. So I went through a video on how to make your own Newt Scamander wand. Honestly, these things are so bloody cheap that you can get them literally anywhere for not a lot of money, but I wanted to make my own, and so I did. In other videos you can check out, I showed you how I made my Newt Scamander wand. I also wanted to show this because I saw it in the film. It's just like a little piece of leather that's folded like a bow tie, really, like one short end and one long end, and this just kind of fits right onto your belt, and the wand fits right like as a holster like this. It seemed like that's in the movie, you see it once, and I just made something quite practical so that you can actually put your wand somewhere. So I made a little leather pouch. But if you want to know how I made this one, since then I think I've upped my painting techniques, but whatever. It's a neat piece anyway. I also got my own Pickett, and I went through another video as well on how to kind of make his eyes more cartoony and just kind of the basics in terms of painting. Since then, I've probably had some more washes and paint him a little bit better, but nevertheless, these are kind of what ties his whole costume together. Next up, for the pants, honestly, with these colors, they're not super accurate, but I'm okay with that, and I'll explain later why. I picked up these at like any thrift store, honestly. I just picked them up, something that was close to my size. But any old pants that I found that were all out of wool or anything like that, as long as you get the color pretty close, that's really all that matters for the pants. But I did end up taking a pair of fitted pants that I have and kind of turning these pants inside out, and I ended up sewing the outside of the pants to make them slimmer, so they're not like these big wavy, pajama like pants. And so I ended up taking these, were like what, $5-10 at a thrift store, and they were pretty accurate. Sometimes you can find them in just any dress pants that somebody would give up that's in their closet. Thrift store is the best way to go. These boots are pretty similar to what he has. I mean, these are just boots that I had that it so happened to be pretty close to what he uses. I just wear these as regular, just kind of Sunday shoes kind of thing, or regular casual day shoes. So any brown boots will do, because at the end of the day, when you're wearing a costume, nobody really looks down that much. You want to be fairly accurate, but not that accurate. This one is definitely, the suitcase is definitely one of my favorite pieces out of the entire thing. This thing is awesome. I know that Newt Scamander doesn't have the same strapping, but or exactly the same, but some, like this piece is unique because it's from a whole doctor set that somebody was giving up and wanted to sell it, but it's from like 1920s, I believe, 1930s, and it still has some of the original stickers in terms of if ever got lost, where to return it. And this thing has so much character. It was an absolute gem. I found it on Kijiji. Somebody was giving it up, but with both doctor bags as well, and the other two doctor's bags. And I just thought this piece was absolutely gorgeous. It was so gorgeous. When you look at this thing, you look on the inside. This thing is a character in its own. The strap, the everything that you see in it, it just screams Newt Scamander. Even though there's these extra straps that come on, and I love the fact that this little switch that holds it all together, or holds it all down, it actually doesn't stay, and it wants to flick up, just like in the movie, even though he has two of them. But this one, it's so hilarious that it actually stays like this, and it wants to flick up. At a later date, when I have a little bit more time, I do want to take this piece and actually put a magnet or some way to not destroy the original piece, but actually add the little muggle tab where it switches between he has the like a muggle mode, and on the inside I still want it to look like the original muggle mode, and I will do that at a later time. But to be honest with you, that's kind of way over and above. That's when I start showing all my set pieces together. That'll be something quite special, but I do not want to wreck it. It's got the natural wear and tear of time, of being moved around, in different planes and different cars, and it definitely has a life of its own, and that is, as a vintage set piece, that is definitely one of my favorites. I just love that piece so much, and I don't think I could possibly find a more accurate or beautiful Newt Scamander suitcase, which is, if you look at Newt Scamander, that's his suitcase is everything. So that is something that I cannot help you find. That is something that you would have to find on your own. But get something. I always love bringing something to the set that's different and unique. It doesn't have to be accurate. Some people are just so obsessed about it being so accurate, and it doesn't have to be. Like, the colors don't have to be super accurate, but it's just your own interpretation of what that costume is like, just like the Aragorn costume. So let's move on. The last few pieces are the body here. For the shirt, I know it's actually a white shirt. For this case, it's a slight whitish gray. It just adds more of that kind of, 1940s, 1930s, 1920s version of what they had back then. I will switch out this shirt for probably a more wider shirt, but it was like perfect because it kind of buttons down on each side of the bow tie, and it worked perfectly. As for the bow tie, I just made this myself. It's just a ribbon, and all I did was I put two piece of Velcro in the back where it just Velcros on, and the ribbon comes around, and all I did is I looped this, I glued it into its spot, or rivet. I think I actually added a rivet in there, and then took a separate piece and just kind of made a bow tie in Newt Scamander's in his. I believe that it's very low key. You don't need an actual bow tie. It just has to be something that's actually more handmade. It's really what it looks like in there. And I'm going to describe to you these last two pieces. Now, the blue is a little bit darker than I want it to be, although it's showing probably a beautiful blue on there. And the vest is not quite orangey yellow like the movie shows, but it is like a tweed vest. So let's start with the tweed vest. I looked on AliExpress, and I'll put a link in the description below, where it shows this whole kind of handmade tweed vest, and it comes with the whole suit, and it's about 90 some bucks. I contacted the lady and said, hey, look, I love what you have here, but can I just buy the vest? She said, absolutely, you can totally just buy the vest. I love this color, well, that I could see online. But then I also went one step further, and I said, how many buttons does it have? There's 5 buttons in the front. And then the top was a different type of collar, I guess. or lapels. So it was totally different. So I sent her an image of Newt Scamander's lapels, and I said, hey, can you make them more like this style? And she said, yes, absolutely, I can totally make that for you. So as creators, these are people that can change and modify according to your needs. Don't ever be afraid to ask the question, because you're not paying for it right away. It's just you're inquiring about it, and if they can do it, great. And if they can't, you either move on or you go for it. Adam Savage was talking about this in one of his videos, where he went one step further by asking the question, can you actually make it like this? Or is this color the closest to this? This is the costume I'm trying to achieve. Can I make it like this? And this woman, she was awesome. She was so fast in terms of her response. I got it on AliExpress, and she was just absolutely phenomenal. She did everything that she could to accommodate my needs that I wanted for this costume, and she went absolutely over and above. So a huge shout out to her, and I'm going to put that link in the description below. And as much as possible, if I can bring attention to her, that's fantastic for her products. And this last one, I'm going to put a link for this one as well. This one is one of those, if you just on AliExpress, if you Google, or if you just look up Fantastic Beasts jacket, it has kind of a slimming kind of look to it. It looks very dark, but this is probably one of the comfiest jackets I've ever had in my life. She went as far as putting all the leather details on the pockets, on the sleeves. There's the leather bits on each side. I sent in my measurements, just kind of rough measurements of what my arm lengths were, my chest, and she put together this beautiful jacket for me. And I'm just so pleased with something like this. I would be Newt Scamander for every Halloween till I die, just because it's so beautifully put together. Everything came together so nice. It's so accurate for me, and I love having the little Pickett. I love when eventually I'll have the inside of the suitcase to look like his. And in terms of a cosplay piece, it's just so subtle. It's not weird to wear. It's not very cumbersome like armor. It's just so subtle and beautiful. And I am very, very pleased with the overall look of this Newt Scamander outfit, even though the second movie is out now, and I think he has a different outfit with different colors. That's totally fine by me. I am so jacked about this outfit that it is definitely my number one. So I really want to share that with you. Any creatives out there, some things I make, like the Aragorn costume, I made most of the stuff, but some things I find, if you can find them for a good price and you can maybe alter them, that's probably the best way to go. And I could never make a piece that's so traditional like that suitcase. And so that some things like that you just have to find, or you just have to keep searching, keep inquiring. I always have about probably 4 to 6 costumes in my brain that I'm constantly just kind of browsing for all the time. And when you're looking like that, that's when you stumble upon these gems. So so excited to be sharing this costume with you, and we'll see you on the next video.